The moment you step into America, there's something you feel before anyone even says a word. People smile, they're polite, they help you, but there's an invisible wall around them. And if you cross that wall without permission, things get awkward fast. Americans don't just like privacy, they protect it, fiercely, almost emotionally. And today, I want you to ask yourself one question before we go deeper. What does a country full of friendly people get uncomfortable the second you ask a personal question? Because here's a bold truth nobody tells you. In America, privacy isn't just a habit. It's not just manners. It's not just culture. Privacy is power. And once you understand that, everything about American behavior suddenly makes sense. Think about this. In many parts of the world, asking someone how much do you earn is normal. Asking why aren't you married yet is casual. Asking where are you going is caring. But in America, those same questions feel invasive, almost rude, sometimes even threatening. Why? What are Americans hiding? Or are they protecting something the rest of the world doesn't? Let's talk about the struggle first, because this is where most people get confused. Immigrants, visitors, even people who consume American content online often say the same thing. Americans feel distant, cold, self-centered, to individualistic. They don't share much. They don't ask much. They don't explain themselves. And when you push, they pull away. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever felt like you tried to be friendly, but the response felt guarded? Drop a comment if you've experienced this, because you're not alone. The struggle exists because many cultures are built on collective living. Families are deeply involved. Neighbors know everything. Advice is freely given, even when it's not asked for. Privacy is often seen as secrecy, and secrecy is seen as disrespect. So when someone from that background meets Americans, it feels strange. Why won't they open up? Why don't they share? Why do they keep their doors, emotions, and lives so locked? But here's the uncomfortable truth. Americans struggle because their entire system is built on personal boundaries. And those boundaries start early, very early. In the US, children are taught something that sounds small but changes everything. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Let that sink in. From childhood, Americans are told that their body is theirs. Their room is theirs. Their opinions are theirs. And their time is theirs. You don't hug someone if you don't want to. You don't answer a question if it makes you uncomfortable. You don't share details just to make others feel better. Now compare that to many other countries. In South Asia, the Middle East, parts of Africa, and even Southern Europe, your life is considered community property. People ask because they care. They advise because they love. They interfere because they feel responsible. And honestly, there's beauty in that closeness. But in America, that same closeness can feel suffocating. Here's where the comparison gets really interesting. In many countries, privacy is a luxury. In America, privacy is a right, a legal right, a cultural right, an emotional right. In Japan, privacy exists, but social harmony comes first. You don't disturb others, but you also don't stand out too much. In Germany, privacy is respected, but rules and systems matter more than feelings. In Scandinavian countries, privacy exists, but trust in society is extremely high. People don't interfere because they trust the system. America is different. America was built by people who left something behind. Think about that. Immigrants escaping religious control, political oppression, family pressure, social expectations. People who crossed oceans because they wanted space, freedom, independence. So, privacy became part of the national DNA. In the US, your personal choices define you, your career, your partner, your beliefs. And if someone interferes, it feels like an attack on your identity. Let me give you a real-life example that explains this perfectly. Imagine two neighbors, one in America, one in a collectivist country. In the collectivist country, if you don't leave your house for 2 days, the neighbor knocks. Are you okay? They ask questions. They offer advice. They tell others. It's love. In America, if you don't leave your house for 2 days, nobody knocks. Not because they don't care, but because knocking without permission feels like crossing a line. And crossing a line is worse than being distant. Now imagine you ask an American coworker, "Why don't you have kids yet?" In many cultures, that's curiosity. In America, it can trigger pain, trauma, infertility issues, financial stress, or personal choices. And Americans believe something very strongly. If someone wants you to know, they will tell you. This is why Americans ask permission before everything. Can I ask you something personal? Is it okay if I give you advice? Do you want to talk about it? Those questions are not weakness. They are respect. And here's the part most people miss. Americans don't hate connection. They hate forced connection. Once you earn an American's trust, the connection can be incredibly deep. They will open up emotionally. They will support you fiercely. They will show up when it matters. But it has to be chosen, not demanded. Think about American homes. Closed doors. Backyards instead of front courtyards. Fences, personal rooms for children. Even pets have boundaries. It's not loneliness. It's ownership of space. Now let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. Do you think privacy is selfish, or do you think it's freedom? Comment what you believe, because this question divides people deeply. Here's another real example. In many countries, parents decide careers. In America, that's rare. Advice. Yes. Control. No, an American child moving out at 18 isn't rejection. It's expected independence. Privacy isn't breaking family bonds. It's redefining them. This also explains why Americans get uncomfortable with constant messaging. If you text someone repeatedly and they don't reply, it's not personal. It's space. Silence isn't disrespect. It's breathing room. Social media made this even stronger. Americans curate what they share. They may post happy moments, but deeply personal struggles often stay offline. Not because they're fake, but because vulnerability is selective. Now here's the lesson part. And this is important whether you live in America, work with Americans, or just want better relationships in general. The biggest lesson Americans teach the world is this. Boundaries create healthier connections. When people feel safe, they open up naturally. When people feel pressured, they shut down. Imagine how many conflicts could disappear if people stopped asking questions they weren't invited to ask. Imagine how much peace exists in saying, you don't have to explain. You don't need to adopt American culture fully, but you can learn from it. You can respect pauses. You can ask before advising. You can let people share at their own pace. And here's the twist ending most people don't expect. Americans love privacy so much because they value individuality. And individuality is the foundation of creativity, innovation, and confidence. When people aren't constantly judged, corrected, or monitored, they experiment. They fail, they grow. They become themselves. So the next time you think Americans are cold, ask yourself this instead. What if they're just giving you the respect they hope you'll give them back? Let me leave you with one final line that explains everything. In America, privacy isn't distance. It's dignity. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think privacy makes relationships stronger or weaker? And would you prefer a world where everyone knows everything, or one where you get to choose what you share? Drop your thoughts in the comments.